for the trailer for Lost in Nepal, where you're in the trailer, but you're not in the film.
Oh
D-
yeah, actually, Yehuda till today is like saying that it was one of the mistakes.
Welcome to the Penniest Podcast, where we interview those that entertained us in our childhood.
Okay, here we are with, oh my gosh, where to start? We have the guy who has produced and acted and filmed so many videos that we grew up with. He has produced, acted, and edited, and directed, and acted in Biker Boys, True Enemy, The Sword, A Prague Adventure. He's been an actor and cinematographer in Room 32, Jewish Revenge 2 and 3, Lost in Nepal, Brothers Forever, Cry of the Dead, Justice from Above, The Power of Tale, and the Story Chest. He's been a cinematographer of The Scar, The Partisan, Never Judge, Yesias Mitzrayim. And that is just the English videos that we grew up with. Can you imagine how much more videos he has done from all across the Israeli landscape of Jewish videos and movies and so much more. So we are honored to welcome Ariel Cohen. How are you doing today?
Yeah, great. Well, hearing all of that, it sounds like, oh gosh, I did some stuff in my life. Yeah. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually, to be honest, like I'm more like a writer and director. I like to put myself a little bit in acting parts in the movies. But yeah, cool, great, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. It's such an honor. But let's start from the beginning. Like, how was what's like your childhood like been for you? What's your background and how you started in this industry? What's the background?
Well, actually, I'm coming from a religious house, not ultra-Orthodox, not Hasidic, the Mizruchnik style, Kippa Sruga. So when I learned college cinema, film industry started of the Jewish cinema around 2000, something like that. And actually, it just came by accident. I was doing my first steps in the world outside after college. And some friend from college, told me, listen, we are now shooting for some Jewish movie. I think it was like something with domestic, something, one of the first mission in Damascus, something like that.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, one of the first, like from Sfat, some woman from Sfat, whatever. And then, they said, maybe you want to shoot it because we can't, something like that. And then I got familiar with all the Jewish industry. And because I grew up as a religious Jew and also because of the industry outside was very like, I don't know, like I felt like I'm home when I did
Yeah.
the Jewish movie. It felt more familiar. It felt more like acceptance. There was like intimate, warm space for me that I couldn't find outside. And then, I just checked, I saw Grovais and I saw Nitzotzot Shel Kedusha and all of that. And I saw, oh, they're doing lots of movies like it. There's a whole industry that I'm not aware of, which actually just started, but it was becoming big and big. I want to work there, not outside. I want to work, with people I know, with like, well, I feel more at home. And so I started to call everybody and say, listen, I can shoot you movies, I can help you directing, I can do everything. I want to be part of the industry. And Yehuda Grovais and all the rest, Igal Oshia from Nitzotzot Shel Kedusha and a bunch more. They said, yeah, let's give it a try. And the rest of the story. Went inside, started to work for others. But I don't know, like, I think I got lucky because at some point, Shachar Ben-Hu came to me with an offer that some guy from Nepal came to him, let's do a movie. And I have a budget, and I just need someone that understands how to do movies. And then
Yeah.
we did actually my first movie that was written and directed by me all the way, and not shooting for others or not directing for others. My creation, which was, I don't know how you call it in English, but it was Ofnei Aram in
Ofnei Aram
Hebrew.
is Biker Boys.
Biker Boys, yeah. That was my first full movie in any platform, not just Jewish one. And the movie was great success. So from that point on, we said, okay, let's do more. So we just started to do our movies, me and Shachar Ben-Hu. We team up and we made Cohen V'Chetzi,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you know the story, but the idea is because I'm Cohen and Shachar, his mom is Cohen. So it's like half a Cohen.
Yeah.
So that's what we call Cohen brothers and a half, which is like kind of it was real, but kind of a joke between, the Grovais brothers and the Rip Cohen brothers outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so that's the story of the beginning of the Jewish cinema for men, anyway.
Yeah, so I do want to kind of ask about like what interests you in filmmaking in general, not about specific films, but in general the whole concept. What do you think is your sweet spot, or what do you think like really draws to you? What aspect of filmmaking, or is it just filmmaking in general?
I like to create worlds. Like for me, it's the creation itself. To create a world, to create characters, it's like really like the golem. You're like creating
Yeah.
something that I don't know. Like I really love it. I enjoy the process of the creation. I enjoy to entertain people. I like to see when they send me feedbacks and say, wow, we really enjoyed it. It touched me. It did me not change my life, but it did something to me. So I'm like communicating through movies with the audience. And at the same time, I enjoy the process of creation. So I think I got these two things that I really love, which is creativity and creation of worlds, plus communication with people, with audience. Doesn't matter if you're Jew or not Jew, or you're man or woman. I like the impact of this creation and the communication that's coming from that.
Would you say that is what, like, because you, again, like you said, you have acted and you have been a cinematographer for a lot of videos besides for your own films. What do you think makes, like, what's like the stamp of what you like to put into your films as opposed to other films in the Haredi or religious filmmaking industry?
It's kind of what I said. I don't want to say in general with others, because obviously each creator has its own stamp. But let's say the Haredi cinema is more about what you can learn from that. You're doing a movie, but what is the Musar scale? What's the vote? And for me, it's more about, okay, I know we need to do it, or else it's not a Haredi movie. I know we need to say something that will be obviously more religious. It would be obviously more about the Judaism part of it. But for me, it's just the side effect of that. And the most important thing is that to enjoy and make people entertained while watching it. So for me, I think my stamp as a creator is, did you, as a viewer, accept all the Musar scale and everything, did you really get emotional? Did you really get scared? Did you laugh? I love to make it funny. Most of my movies, I always put humor in my movies. So that's what's important for me. Did I succeed to touch you in some way and make your life a little bit more fun and enjoyable?
So before we get to specific films, because there's a lot of different films that we could touch on, but you've also acted in the films a lot. And my question is, what's your sweet spot of a type of character you like to act? Do you like to act the comedian, the comedic relief of the film? Do you like to act the villain? Do you like to act as the protagonist? What's like your sweet spot of acting? Or for you, every character is something that you tackle and it's just different for you?
Well, I really enjoy to do the comic relief of stuff. Like, it's like, for me, I can do the villain, I can do everything. Again, I'm not a professional actor all the way, although I studied some time acting, so I know how to act. And actually, by the way, it really helped me as a director, because I knew how to approach actors,
Yeah, for sure.
It really helped, really, still now, actually. But for me, to be the comic relief, especially all the funny characters like Jorge from Sword of David, funny Argentinian guy, or all these funny characters, for me, it's the best, because then I can let go of everything, I can just, go completely crazy, go enjoy the character, do stupid stuff, and it's great, it's funny because it's releasing something inside of you. Because when you're doing some more complex character, then you need to really build it really with nuance and really accurate, and then you start to think that maybe I did good, I didn't do, maybe I need a little bit more dramatic. Maybe I need a little bit to be close. And when you're doing a funny character, it's just let go. Enjoy the ride and let go. So yeah, I love, to be the comic relief of the movies. Yeah.
So let's go through the films that you've done. 'Cause there's a lot of films. I'm not sure we could tackle every film, but let's try to go through as much as we can. Let's start with the first. Let's do the ones where you were the producer and director and writer for them with Shachar Ben Chul. Let's start with the first one. So the first one you did was Biker Boys, correct?
Yeah. That's the first one, and I kind of this was the most powerful for me because it was obviously the first one. It was the beginning of the cinema of ultra-Orthodox, and I wasn't the first. Yehuda Grovais obviously was the first, but for me it was like the first, and I know that the movie got real big success, and it was really important for me because it built my confidence later on. Because sometimes if your first movie is like a failure, then you say, why to do that? Maybe I'm not in the right place. So this was like a stamp for me. Yes, you're doing what you need to do. You're doing shlichut, your shlichut in life. This is it. And you also enjoy it. So it's like an amazing gift. I got to do what I love, and I get money from that. And it's also kind of a shlichut. So for me, it was like a stamp that go on in this role. It was just the beginning. I was like 24, 25, something like that.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. 25 years ago, man.
Yeah, I'm saying about 24 to take upon the multiple job of a film, like you're also the producer, you're the writer, you're director, you're basically production manager also, like you're taking upon all these things.
No, all of that was Shachar. No, I was writer and director.
Oh wow.
In this movie. Yeah, Shachar was the producer. I care about art too much, so I put everything on this, and once I did it, and then I understood I need someone more tough to be, with the tight budget, because if no, I can, do a Hollywood movie just for a small drama.
Yeah. So in that case, then there was a lot of more space for you to be more creative because you didn't have to necessarily. I mean, you probably did have to think about it or worry about it, but you're not necessarily like tackling on other duties besides for being the creative of the films.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I kind of keep on doing that till now. Like I'm all the time fighting with producer. It's all the time this fight with the budget, and I'm all the time like protecting the creation like it's my baby. Well, it is my baby, and I'm doing all I can in my effort, and also to try to fight for even $2 more, $3 more that will give something to the light, or something to, in order the creation will be the best. For me, it's my baby. I want the best for it. It doesn't matter. Each one has its own unique character, and each one in this specific time is my best baby till now, and they're all my kids in some way.
Yeah.
So I'm just like a big ultra-Orthodox family, lots of kids. But each one is equally important to the other in this specific time. Obviously now, looking back at the movies, some of them immature, some of them are not deep enough, some of them I could have done better, but at that specific time I did my best, and it was good. Most of my movies are a success, like kind of lucky in this way.
Yeah. So when we're talking about Biker Boys, I think I also talked about this with Ronen when I interviewed him a few months ago. I think Biker Boys, what stands out from Biker Boys from your other films is that Biker Boys is the most balanced movie between the writing of the characters and the writing of the story in action. Because a lot of times when you watch films, especially in the Haredi or in the Jewish religious films, a lot of times characters are written very well, but at the cost of the attention span and the writing of the story and the action. But then a lot of times it's the opposite, where the writing of the action was put more effort than the attention and quality of the characters. And I feel like Biker Boys really balanced all that into one beautiful project.
Yeah. I think it's true. by the way, and I'm still doing it till now. And I think that's my. You talked about my stamp, about my uniqueness, and I think this is it. Characters are equally important as the plot. Okay, and without the unique characters, without let the characters live, it's even a philosophical thing. הכל ידוע והרשות נתונה.
Yeah.
Still, like, so the plot, you know that you need to come from point A to point B. You know that. So you can use the characters as servant of the plot, and they can do, which a lot of time I see it in the Haredic industry, that they use the character as, like a golem just to do the, but I like to set free of the characters, and sometimes they can, go off track and go, somewhere else that I didn't expect it. At some point, I'm helping them to go back to the main, the main road. But it's important for me to let the character live, to be alive, to be funny. That's what I love, that the character can be a unique character. And until now, I'm still doing it, even in my new stuff that I'm doing now. Characters are always there, leading the way, sometimes on the expense of the plot.
Yeah. But also what I love about Biker Boys is that there was a very real dynamic between the 5 main boys especially, but also throughout all the characters. Meaning it wasn't just the fact that they were unique characters, which was also a big deal, but there was also like a rhythm, there was a chemistry, there was a really good dynamic between the boys themselves and between the boys and the villains between the villains. There was a lot of good dynamic and chemistry between not just the actors, obviously, but the characters especially.
Yeah, this it's due to Ronen, actually. Because,
oh, really?
Because when I started the casting itself, and Ronen said to me, listen, I have great actors friends, you need to see them, they're amazing, and because I know them, all of us together as a group, you'll have an amazing dynamic. So I said to him, okay, bring them, let's do audition, and let's see. And then each one of them, from Yaniv Chaim and Itzik Lilat and all the rest, all of them were great. So I said, okay, it's working, why to resist it? So it's working. So I just, played along and said, okay, this one, Yuval was the main hero that now is also a really famous director. So Yuval and all the rest, like I just played along. I said, okay, you will be this, you will be that. But I used kind of like the group that Ronen gave me, and I added 2 outsiders to that. But the main group was Shachar, me. I didn't act, but Shachar was acting also. He was like the bad guy, and also Itzik Lilat, and all of that. They all was part of one group, so that's why the chemistry worked so good between them. And we were just starting, so we all saw it as like an amazing opportunity. So fun was everywhere. You can really feel the fun that you have behind stages. You can feel it on film. Mm-hmm. I remember once Tarantino said, we love to do movies because we love to do movies. Then you see it on the film, like on once it was like celluloid on the film itself. But today, even digital can transmit this feeling that you have on set. And if you don't have it, I believe that audience feel it. Like if you don't have this chemistry. So yeah, I was lucky in that. Let's be honest. Half of the job Ronen did to me is the credit for that.
Yeah, it's really, really cool to watch. Also, another thing I wanted to bring up about Biker Boys is I feel like Biker Boys had a certain story element that didn't have in other films. Because in the story, one of the main villains at the end becomes good, but it's not that he necessarily becomes good. It's also that it's like, meaning, like, I'll give you an example, like other films, in the Haredi crowd, you'll see like if they're bad, they're bad. And if they're good, if they turn good, it's because ultimately they were Jewish, and that's it. You know what I mean? But what I found out about the Tarek is that not only did you go like, oh, he had a kind heart the entire time, but not necessarily did he take it seriously because of his comic relief. And not only that, it's not that he like became Jewish or he was always Jewish. It was just his character the entire time. And then when he was put into the corner into the story, ultimately he ends up being more than what you expect from him. So I found that very unique when it came to the villain in Biker Boys.
Yeah, because it was the first movie. I wasn't aware of yet on the laws and rules of the industry, So I tried to play along with that, and after that, in the other movies, I always try to do this experiment. I always try. Like I did also a Jewish woman movie. Over there, like the hero, you find out close to the end that the hero is kind of the villain. And I remember...
those are cool.
Yeah, and I remember the ultra-Orthodox woman, it also was my first movie for women, so I can speak about it freely now. So I remember the audience of the woman, they let me went in. I was secretly watching it from backstages, and they were in shock. They said, how can it be? This is the hero. She's like a tzadikah. She's amazing. She's great. How can it be that she's like, not completely the bad guy, obviously, but she has some bad in her. She did bad stuff in her life. And they were like shocked from that. They couldn't believe that this is it. So I like this experiment. I like to break the expectation of the audience, and I like, obviously, complex character. But if to be honest, like it's becoming harder and harder to do it. Like the more the industry became more established, then I had less opportunities to really break the laws, but more like bend them,
Yeah.
And I always bend. I always try to get as far as I can, because if no, let's be honest, it's not interesting.
Yep.
And I think Tarek I asked myself, okay, what if he's so he's a terrorist, so he has to be like the bad guy. But, okay, I have the bad guy was the other one, Nasser, I think that was his name. And why do I need the other one to be exactly like him? Maybe he has doubts. Maybe he sees people differently. I don't need two people to do the same job. He can be different character. So that's why I used it like that, so in order to break a little bit the pattern and make the audience also say, wait, maybe Arabs are not all of them so terribly bad. Okay, so half of them maybe yes, but maybe other half not. Maybe they are humans, and maybe they can change also. So for me, it was like a little bit about hope and about like, now I'm more cynical about it. Now I'm more especially after everything that happened, I'm less looking at that. But back then, it came from hope about not just Arabs, about everything, about people.
Yeah. But I think what the genius of Talek is that throughout the entire film, the audience was kind of like not taking him seriously because that's what he was. He was the comic relief. Yeah. And so when it came the time where, oh, wow, it's getting serious for Talek, what he's going to do, that's when it catches the audience's eye and attention to his character. Because otherwise, if he wasn't the comic relief, you probably would have done a sidekick that slowly you see on camera him doubting. But that's not what it was at all. You kind of flip the tone of his character very 180, and it worked very well.
Yes, not completely.
Obviously,
there was seeds. There was seeds of that, when he wanted to kill them at the beginning, then he said, wait, let's not kill them. I put some seeds to that. So you won't feel cheated that I changed him completely. There were seeds, but the moment that it happened was really at once. But I planted seeds. I believe in seeds. I don't believe that it's coming really from nowhere. And that's why I think also the audience didn't feel so cheated, because although the metamorphose was really quick, still, because the seeds I put before, you kind of believed it, because you saw the small doubts of him, or not doubts, but that you saw that he's different from the other bad guy,
Yeah. But I feel like the fact that you made him the comic relief kind of gave a chance for the audience to kind of not take him for granted in a way. You know what I mean? You kind of don't pay attention to him until that moment, even though you did send the seeds. And so when it does come to that moment, the audience goes oh, wait, those seeds were there. but because there was so much comic relief from that
exactly.
character in the beginning.
Yeah, I hide. Yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the next film I want to talk about, True Enemy, Neshek Shachol. Neshek Shachol, True Enemy, is one of the most complex videos that I bet was the most exhausting, both in production, but also in editing. You know what I mean? Because there's so much, because essentially, even though there are 4 episodes and they're basically one story, but the way you approach each episode was its own film, so to speak, right? Because you kind of needed that aspect of mystery in each one, so it had to be its own film. And not only that, but you're also, there's so much complex character writing, and there's a lot of good payoffs at the end you also have to pay attention to. But then you also have to make sure that the mystery and the essence of the story doesn't risk the quality of the characters. Like, I don't know how you approach that type of project from the beginning. So if you could tell me a little bit, like, from the beginning of that project, like, what went into it.
Yeah. So first of all, just to say that before that we have an adventure in Prague, before this movie, before True Enemy. Yeah, and after that we did some, I don't know, some funny sketches, something, I think, and only then we came. So we were like already deep down inside the rabbit hole of the industry. Also, at that time I did lots of, like, in order to make a living, I did lots of movies for Yehuda Grovais and Igal and others. So I was like, I knew the directors, the director, I knew the industry. You know, it's important because this is the story. It's about that. And then we had this idea, me and Shacha, let's do a movie about the industry. Because I think it came from back then that Yehuda did a disc, a DVD, about how to do cinema. You know, and
Chai Beseret, נראה לי? I think it was Chai Beseret.
Something like that. About this is the lighting guy, this is this. He explained it, and I saw that, you know, people really love it. I said, let's do a movie that the movie is about this cinema. And at the same time, we said, maybe let's do it really good. So maybe it can also approach the audience outside. We were really thinking about like doing a movie that will be also to the ultra-Orthodox, but also to the scholars, the people outside the community. And actually, the movie was also screened in some small festival that was back then. It's called Eilat Film Festival. And we showed it, I think, once in Cinematheque Tel Aviv in some short version. So it had some small life outside the Jewish industry. So we kind of succeeded in what we do to approach the two audience. But about behind that, so the idea was what will happen if we will deceive the audience that they will think like it's a regular Jewish movie. And then at some point, it will be just an actor that lost his mind and lost his memory and think that he's like one of the characters. So that's what the pitch, the premise of this idea, the core of that. And from that point on, we just said, okay, let's see what will be most interesting. So he will try to kill his friends because he thinks that they're terrorists, like we're doing now Biker Boys, but we're still doing True Enemy. Mm-hmm. And so we try to take out the most interesting thing that from one side will look like that. And from when you took it from another angle, it will look something completely different. So first of all, we built it like in 4 acts. So it was just like a regular story, just in 4 acts. But we knew that after the first act, then the change, the flip will happen. If to be honest, not all the audience understood what we want from them.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. But I feel like that. I feel like that's why it also lived that long, because at least in America, I don't know how it was in Israel, but at least in America, like my friends when we were kids, we didn't know what was going on. But then when we would watch it when we were older, we appreciated it more because it kind of gave the audience the trust to understand after a little bit of watching it, maybe not necessarily the first watch, but maybe the second watch, or when you're older. It didn't dumb it down for the audience. It actually gave the audience space to join along on their own terms in a way that you could also enjoy what the film was telling you in the first place.
It was, I remember that time because we got, back then, you know, there were lots of letters that now probably, you know, we still have some of the letters, by the way. Some of them were like complaining about what we were doing and nobody understand and why we gave them to see a movie behind the stage instead of a real movie, and they want their money back because we didn't do a real movie. So we got some, yeah, we got some, response like that. But most of them, I guess, like it could really split into half because I guess, like if you don't like the movie, usually you don't write to the people. So most of the letters we got were good, but we heard from Grintech, our distributor back then, that it's really split into half. Then people that don't understand anything and they're mad about this movie, and between people that think that it's the most genius thing that they saw.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think like the idea was all the time to see how something you plant in one place will resonate to the beginning and to the end. There's no. So it wasn't that hard, if to be honest. It is hard, every creation is hard. But the idea is that if you work symmetrically, then you're good. Like you work at the beginning, work on the end, you see that what you plant here, what's the effect on the other side, and that's it. See the effect of a mirror effect, to see how it works in the mirror side of stuff. But yeah, we still love this movie. I think like in the ultra-Orthodox men, at least movies, it's our best movie for us anyway.
In America, it's one of the most requested rewatch films out of all of them, because like cool. a lot of them are like they watch once or twice and they enjoy it and they put the DVD on the shelf for later. But I just remember like even now, I was a teacher last year, and my students, like, they don't care how many times they watch Your Enemy, they wanted to watch it again more than other films. And I think it is because there's a lot of new things maybe I'm giving too much credit to the kids or to the audience, but there is like this sort of like feeling that every time you watch it, there's like a new thing you realize or something new you pick up. Whether it's the story or the mystery or the clues, you know what I mean? There's always like something interesting you see every time you watch it.
Yeah, maybe. To be honest, I don't remember all the small details already. But I remember, that with the corn can that, one enjoyed and all of that. Obviously, that's the most remember. But I remember we did lots of this small stuff and it really made everybody crazy about it. But I think if we are anyway talking about uniqueness and stuff, so again here, characters, you don't laugh about them, but you laugh with them because of their character, because of who they are. So I think also here, this is the point that I can say that this is me and also Shachar uniqueness about characters, because I think one of the reasons that you can watch it again is not just that you find out all kinds of small stuff, that it's because you enjoy the humor and you enjoy the characters, it's
very
fun.
true.
It's fun to watch when you're enjoying the characters and you see, oh wow, it's like real people and it's fun to watch. By the way, like a small thing about it, we didn't wrote a script for that. We wrote we wrote an outline treatment, which is like what's going on in the scene, in each scene. So we knew exactly where it should start and where it goes, but there was no dialogues. Like the whole thing was improvised by Ronen and his group. It's the same group that, we grew up with. And so it was all improvised. And by the way, now they're still working in improv. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So they were like geniuses in that. So we gave them the character. This is what you need to get. This is the obstacle. Like, we gave them everything they need, but they were improvising there. And it was a really tough editing because each take it's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, we succeeded because we did it a little bit like documentary style. So it was cool.
Yeah. It's also the biggest production that you had under your belts in outside of Israel, because you went to Turkey.
Twice actually. Yeah.
You went to Turkey twice?
Yeah, once alone with Itzik, the main hero. Second time was with all the gang together. We did the Itzik part, the first episode, alone with him, because we wanted to see what we got here. We were afraid to do the whole thing, because this was like completely from our money, me and Shachar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we wanted to do a small experiment. Worst case, we went to vacation, me, Itzik, and Shachar. Worst case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we started from that. And then we made the production bigger, and we called everybody. And my sister, I remember, also helped to produce. And there was like a big gang, all of us together. We almost went into a fight with some Muslim Turkish there outside the mosque.
Oh, wow.
There was like, they wanted to kill us, really. They were like,
oh, my gosh.
You trying to show that the Muslims are bad? Because Itzik was, like completely dirty and all of that after the... so they thought that we are mocking them and lousy people. Actually, they didn't really hurt us or something, but they kicked us out from the mosque because we shot inside. I don't know if this stuff we can do now. We did lots of crazy stuff that for sure you couldn't done now. But we shot in this gray mosque in the territory of the mosque. We didn't ask permission from no one. We also shot in the market there, the big market of Istanbul, and they also caught us and they said, where your permission and all that. We said, we don't know, we need, we're like student and everything. And there was like a big, it was, wow, we were crazy, really. We were also, I remember in Adventure in Prague, I was chasing them with a sword in the subway.
Yeah.
And it was real and people got scared. Oh God, there's like crazy man. So the guards came, because they saw in monitor there's some guy chasing someone with a sword, and they almost, shot us. Like you said, guys, crazy. You need permission to do. You can't do it just because you want.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work now. Really, it's crazy stuff.
So before we get to a Prague Adventure, I do want to end off on this question because. Where was the idea to do it? Not like you could have easily made this film in the same story in Israel. You know what I mean? Like technically, if you really wanted to show everything, but what was this? Where did the decision come from to do it in a different country like Turkey?
Yeah, if you do it in Israel, it's not interesting because then it's all safe. If you are like a Israeli guy that you have no memories and you think you're Mossad agent and you're in Israel, then you go to some safe place. You go, I don't know, to people you know. Okay, you think you don't know people, you're alone in the world, but still you're in Israel, so there's no danger. And that's why we chose also a Muslim country, a country that back then it wasn't that dangerous. But if we could shot it in Iran, we would do it in Iran. So we did in Turkey, which if you wake up without memory and you think you are a Mossad agent and you are alone in Istanbul, then it's more scary than you are alone in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
So that was the idea behind it, that we have to put our hero in danger. Even in New York, it's not interesting enough, like kind of the same thing. Like in Tehran from Khan 11, same idea. If you stuck in an enemy land, then it's interesting. Not when you're at home or in a friendly country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, one last question. Did Yehuda Grovais watch the film, especially when it came to the joke of Yaniv Chaim with I'm doing a play of Yehuda Grovais with the puppet? Did he ever see that part? Did he ever talk to you about it?
Yeah, of course, obviously. He was complimented by that he said to me, that Kessler character is about me. I know that you did it about me. And I know all the small jokes that are out there. And I'm really complimented that you did a movie about me. He took it really good. He didn't saw the small criticism that was between the lines. There was a little bit criticism. But there was also lots of love to him as a director, as a person. There was also lots of love. And he saw that. He saw the love that we have for him. We saw the respect that we have for him. Obviously, it's not him exactly. We did inspiration from Yehuda Grovais. We created some character. But of course, as the creator, you have the good side of it and the bad side of it. There was a little bit of criticism, but saw the good stuff. And he was super happy and super proud that we did a movie that he was kind of the inspiration for the main hero, and he loved it. And I remember that he told me after the movie came out, I love it a lot. I think it's amazing. Not sure the audience will know what you want from him.
Oh, wow.
Actually, he gave less credit to the audience, and I think, like as I told you, 50% did understand, but 50% didn't.
Yeah. I know I said last question, but I do want to bring up this one thing that I remember. I think the best scene of the entire series was the scene where Kessler, the director, puts a camera in front of him and just sits down and just pours his heart out. I think like just that moment of like him sitting down and the room is dim, the camera for the only time in the entire film is on a steady like whatever, like a tripod, whatever it is, like a stand.
Yeah.
It's not moving, and there's no music, and there's just silence. Like I and also the dialogue. Probably that's improv, and if it is, that's even greater. That's even better. Just that scene alone was so good.
Yeah. So I think like first it's two things. First of all, it came from us again as that as character. Like
Yeah.
he did a bunch of stupid stuff. He risked his crew, and then he admitted that he did a mistake. He admitted that he endangered. So we love that he regretted. So we use the documentary style in order to let him speak to the camera. That's first. Most of it, the dialogue actually in this case was written because Ronen said it will be easier for him. So we wrote it. And then, of course, Ronen had all kinds of stuff of his own, but most of it was written. And I think it works so good, and not just because of the steady camera, it's also because everything that led to this point that did two things. One, it's all in connection to the movie. And the other thing is this exactly what makes a character a human being and not just a servant of the plot. And I think that's why this scene works so good, because it shows the humanity of this character. You can say also that the human side of Yehuda Grovais as an inspiration, it doesn't matter. This character, this fragile moment, I think that's why it works so good, because we laughed, it was danger, it was this, we had no, there's also some true moment, the true character.
Yeah. So let's just briefly talk about Prague Adventure. What can you tell me about that one? Because that was after Biker Boys, as you said. So tell me about it.
Yeah, after Biker Boys, me and Shachar understood that we can do it by ourselves, and we don't need an investor. We can do something small. We can do it like cheap. We fly to Prague, me, Ronen and Shachar alone, just the three of us, no one else. And at some point I remember there was like one or two scenes that were the three of us there together, so we would be behind the camera. So I just put it on tripod, and went in front of the camera. And luckily there wasn't a lot of scenes that all of the three of us were together. So we did this in Prague alone, all this crazy adventure in the subway and everywhere. And then we did pick up scenes in Israel more properly. For us, I remember it like it was the first movie that we produced, like really produced, because we put the money, we did it together. And also we did a deal with the Green Tech back then that we are not selling it to him. We are like partners. So if this movie succeeds, we see money. If no. So I remember really hoping that this movie will succeed. It did. Not in a crazy way as we wanted, maybe, but it succeeded. And then from that point on, we understood that we have an industry that we can be part of, although we are not completely ultra-Orthodox, but we are welcome there. And people love our stories, love our movies. So we can continue doing what we're doing. It was like a stamp that we can continue doing movies on our own, which is also was important. And from that point on, Cohen V'Chetzi was established in this movie, actually.
So let's go on one more film that you did, that you and Shachar did, The Sword of David. The Sword of David is very interesting because you weren't dealing with the core actors that you dealt with the other films. There was other actors. Tell me about, because there's a lot of like different changes in the production side of it that you could tell on screen. So if you could tell me about that.
Yeah, we wanted to do a small change, and so we took an Eli Galperin that will be in the main role, and the rest were also a little bit busy, and we wanted to do a small change. But as you know, Shachar was also acting as
Yeah, yeah.
Shuki, the undercover Mossad agent, and I was also acting as the Argentinian funny guy. So
Yeah.
if to be honest, we really did this movie for fun. Like really, it was for fun. Let's do a movie for the Haredi community. Obviously, low budget. But there are some archaeologists that want to find a missing sword of David. It was like a conspiracy also in Hungary and everything. But we really did it for fun, and that's why there was lots of jokes and actually maybe a bit too much. Like maybe it was a little bit, like you said, about combination between drama and humor. I think in this movie we crossed the line of too much humor that affect the tense of the plot and all of that. But still, we enjoyed every part of it.
Yeah, I think the humor side of it, I think it translated well because I feel like every time I watch it with people, they're laughing their heads off at every moment, and yeah, when you get to the end, there is but there's also like an aspect that it could be that because there was a lot of humor. So when the moments of the seriousness happens, like when you're building up in the first episode, and then especially in the third episode where you're ending off the story, I think they kind of hit a bit more because you kind of like got all the humor out of your system in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Still, like looking back, I would reduce a little bit the humor of that and make a little bit more tension and drama, so it will hold better through the whole 120 minutes. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but not a lot. Like really, like in 10%, 20%, I think it would do better to the movie. But still, watching it now, it's still make a smile on my face. We really had fun. Let's be honest. We really
Right.
had
Yeah.
fun.
It looked like you guys did.
Yeah, we had fun, which now I became more professional and I'm doing like big production and everything. It's still fun, not the same fun.
Yeah.
There was something about like just, take the camera and go. Like, actually, it's kind of like the YouTube of today.
Yeah.
That people just doing like all kinds of movies to YouTube and building an audience. It was kind of something like that because it didn't demand the big studios. It didn't demand funds, film funds and all of that. It just demanded us to go and do. And so it was great. And now everything is like more complicated, still good, still fun, still art, everything, but more complicated. And there was like some enjoyable in this pirate guerrilla production.
There's a lot of different opinions, at least in America. Could be in Israel, it's different. There's a lot of different opinions about the ending. I'll tell you, like some people would say that, like, maybe the ending was kind of predictable, and some people like, oh, the sword, it just disappeared, like all that for nothing. Or a lot of people say, oh, that's actually good because like it precedes predictability, and there's more like what do you think about like that ending? Because I personally liked a lot of different aspects of it, but I just want to hear from you. What do you think?
About the story itself, like the idea that we wanted to say is that violence doesn't lead to solution. So the moment that a drop of blood hit the sword, it disappeared. So the idea was if you will continue in the violence route, then you won't get all the prizes. We tried to say that in between the lines, you can say it.
Yeah.
Not sure that the message was so clear, if to be honest, looking back. But that's what we try to say, that bloodshed won't solve the problem.
So we talked about your films that you wrote and you directed. So to end off the podcast, I just wanted to ask you a few films that you acted in. For example, the ones that you did with Grovais, Nekama Yehudi, Jewish Revenge. What can you tell me about those that you did?
Well, those movies was like a great adventure, actually. And also Yehuda gave me the chance as also in acting, but also in, although it sounds weird, also in filming the movie. I was the main, DOP, the main cameraman of the movies, both the second one and also the third one of Nekama Yehudit. While I was, acting on camera, Yehuda was like operating the camera. It's like I prepared everything for him, and he was just operating. And for me, it was one of my first tries in like real acting, not just comic relief and have some fun. It was like real acting at Yehuda. I also like I think he had, I don't know how it calls in English, Achim Lanetzach.
Yeah, Brothers Forever. Yeah, Brothers Forever. Which, by the way, it's a pretty good film. I think that one, out of all his filmography, especially the ones that you did with him, I think Brothers Forever was really good.
Yeah. So over there also had like okay, not a big role, but like a role, So it was for me like a great opportunity because I really like to act and not just to do films. Lately I don't act too much, but I'm just creating. But back then for me it was great part of the experiment, of the adventure, of like doing movies and to learn also. I think it really was helpful for me later on to direct better when I was acting. So I think it was like a great experience. Yehuda is a great producer and director. And working with him, really, it was tough, but it was pleasure because Yehuda is really demanding in like, we have to do it in this short time and this amount of days, and that's it. He has like a producer head. But he's great and he's a cool guy, and we actually still in touch. And I enjoyed really working with him. Now I'm happy for him that he's came back to doing movies, and now he's doing all kinds of. He's doing now even now he even submitted a movie for the Israel Academy of Film Prizes.
Ooh.
Yeah, kind of independent movie that he did. It was already kind of almost regular movie with men and women and everything, but kosher. I haven't seen it, but as much I understood. And that's it. And I think it was a great experience, especially the one in Nepal when we went to shoot there. I also did there. There was like another movie. We did like 2 movies together, and it was really a great experience. So I really thank him for that and for the opportunity also, to act in the movie and trust me with that,
So there was a for the trailer for Lost in Nepal where you're in the trailer, but you're not in the film.
Actually, Yehuda till today is like saying that it was one of the mistakes. He hired some guy in editing, that he told him like my character, which was like the comic relief of the movie. He told them like, but he took like some guy, some secular editor, and he told them, listen, this movie is a simple movie, about this and about this journey of these two. And this guy is like from another story, is like completely out of the plot. It's not connected to that. And so they took me out, from I was disappointed, if to be honest, because, I really had some fun and I built a really cool character and it was a funny character. And I also told them, once he did it, I told him, not because of me, not because you're taking me out of the movie. I think you do a mistake. You're doing a mistake because the people need the comic relief, and it's a commercial movie back then, in the beginning of the Jewish cinema. People needs that, Who cares that it's like if we were doing a movie in Hollywood or you're doing even for a secular audience in Israel, okay, maybe you're right. Okay, but for for the Haredi community, they love this small stuff. They don't care that the genre is changing. Inside the in the movie.
Yeah.
And after that, he actually 1 year, 2 years later, after that, he told me that he thinks I was right because the audience was disappointed from the movie. It was too serious, and
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Really?
He
Because
said that
it's one of the most favored here in America, at least, like in the Haredi community in America. It's one of the like most like appreciated, like when it comes to like the story wise. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to like that, like it wasn't like trying to make fun of itself, like sometimes until that point the Haredi films were doing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
like it
So
was.
yeah, it was kind of like, let's say, mature movie, okay?
Yeah.
And yeah, and let's be honest, that the audience, at least in Israel, they wanted, to watch and have fun. Okay, they like mature, but they were missing this, spice of something, fun that happening. So in Israel, at least, it wasn't a great success in the box office, according to Yehuda. And I don't know, at least that's what he told me, that he's regretting that he listened to this secular editor and that he took me out. But okay, what's done is done, and it's not a
Yeah.
big drama.
Yeah, but it's still like I feel like it is one of the best films he did, and it's a shame that like that film didn't get the reception that it deserved, you know?
Yeah, but I think because it's like mostly in Israel back then, most of the audience were like kids and like teenagers,
Yeah,
and for them, just don't we don't want too much drama, too much mature content. We just want to have fun. That's why all the funny movies and Koach Zikit and all of that really was successful because
yeah,
it was just about pure fun. Fun, I mean, like in tense, in tension, in action, and of course in humor. But but yeah, I think that was the main reason. But I don't know. I'm happy to hear that it was accepted good in abroad.
as far as I know, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we move on from you to Grovais, if you could tell me like when it comes to when it comes to the story wise, not particularly the producer side or the filmmaker production side of it. When you think of Grovais' stories, what comes to your mind?
Grovais likes the classic one. He likes the classic structure. There's the Jewish hero, and then he's going through all kinds of difficult times, and then he overcome it, and he likes the classic. It's like the hero journey
Yeah,
mythology style. He really loves it. But and I think he's right. It's like really, if you want a formula that that it's successful, then this is the one.
yeah,
Actually, I'm also like I'm also I can't say that all the time like I'm using that, but I take an inspiration from that, like trying to compare my story against versus the hero journey, the mythology and all of that, and it's really helpful to understand, where you are, at what point in the classic formula, and I think like Yehuda was doing it kind of great. He didn't do too many complex and he didn't try to invent the wheel, like we say in Hebrew,
yeah.
again. But what he did good.
It's so funny you
Like I
saying
said,
that because I just put out a podcast episode with his guy in America, Chabadnik, but still he writes for Netflix and stuff like that. He's like one of the standby writers that they use, whatever. And he says that like what modern films are missing is the hero's journey, because that's what people kind of relate to, no matter what like era or audience you get, because everyone could relate to the fact that a person like strives over his obstacles in order to do something good or to do something right in his story. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and it's a shame because like that is like it's not just about like the classical hero's journey in Jewish films, like oh the Jewish person always wins. It's just a simple story of a guy who goes from A to Z, but he comes out much better at the end. Whether it's a positive ending or not, at least you know the character has been through something where he strives from it, only strives from that journey in the film.
Yeah, yeah, like the classic Nisayon and Tikkun
Yeah.
in some way, and I think like yeah, I think we are doing this like in Jewish cinema a lot, like in the Haredic industry, we are like I can say that a lot is still using this formula, and because I think there's something in Judaism, in this belief of like that everything is a lesson and you need to, you know, overcome the obstacles because everything has meaning.
Yeah.
And at the end, you have to get smarter for that, even if the lesson was, you know, really hard and it demands from you, you know, really great, um, I don't know how you call it, like a payment from
Yeah. The accomplishment.
Yeah, yeah. So I really believe in that, and I'm happy, you know, that we are doing this, and also Yehuda is doing this in his movies, and I'm also using it because I also believe in that in real life, you know, that everything is with a point, everything has meaning, everything there's no like coincidence, you know, and not in story and not in life, you know, and in story in particular, you know, there's not even a single word that you rewrite just because, you know,
Right.
um, and and that's it, you know. I agree with this observation.
So let's go into the other films that you did with Natasha Gudusha. I don't know how much you remember the films or what the roles were, but I'm doing right now. I'm starting to do this project where I'm doing analysis on the films from that
Yeah.
time. And so
Hmm.
right now I'm working on Rega Goali, which in America is Room 32, but it's the one where in the hotel.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think what's amazing about that film is that like whether like the production side of it or the acting, whatever it is, the story itself, the idea that all these characters are going through different like story arcs in one location and in
Hmm.
one storyline, it's just so and the way it was written also is that it gave every character its time to breathe. You know, it gave every character its sense of story in his own right, as opposed to it just being like all the good guys are the same good guys and all the bad guys are the same bad guys. You know, like every person had his own personality and his story arc. You know what I mean? I don't know how much you remember about that film, but that's one of my favorites from the Shaka Dusha.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember a lot, if to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do remember shooting that and even acting a little bit. I love Igal. You know, Igal Hoshiar from Tzotzot Shel Kedusha. He's an amazing guy, really amazing,
Yeah.
and I'm admire. Yeah, back then, you know, the all the production was really low, super low budget, but it had a soul. You know, it had a soul. Like most of Igal Nitzotzot Shekdusha movies, it has a soul, and I think that's the greatness about his movies, that you know they're like seeing people, seeing characters, and not just you know telling the story like as a you know like it was dots in the story. Um, so yeah, I don't remember exactly everything, but yeah, I just remember one time that we were like shooting it in it was I think in hotel in Sfat or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
The
it was
hotel
in
was
hotel.
called Malon Levy. I don't know what it's called now, but
Ah,
that's
no,
what it was
Malon
called.
Lavi. Yeah, Malon Lavi. Yeah, at Malon Lavi. That's true. and we were shooting there, and I don't know, there was like we did like a break. Suddenly everybody started to say, okay, let's do a break. And just everybody started to chant some Hasidic chanting and start to dance together. And then Yigal called, come, dance with us, So I left the camera and started to dance. And everybody, between takes started to dance just because,
Wow.
And it was, I remember it was like, I was in shock, because like for me, like shooting, time, movie, schedule, you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
make,
yeah.
Also, Yehuda Grovais, I come from, I started with Yehuda, and Yehuda is all the time, like on the clock, and, let's do
Yeah,
more, let's do
exactly.
more. And also in secular movies, it's also like that. And suddenly, Igal doesn't care about, and for
Yeah.
him, what he's doing now is more important than even the movie, because he's like connecting Jews together and making them happy. It's exactly what the movie is trying to do. So obviously, behind stages, it needs to do the same thing. So for him, this
Yeah.
this moment was even more precious than just to do the movie for the movie. And it was
Yeah.
really enlightening to me, to that there's another way to do movies, not to be, I can say now that I'm, already professional, that I have time for this kind of stuff, but yeah,
I can't wait to show you the video when I finish making the analysis because it'll probably jog a lot of memories, but it's just in general, I just love the film, so I can't wait to show it to you, especially when you were acting in it. There was
yeah,
also another film, Betin Shemala. I don't know if you remember,
yeah,
but it's the film.
yeah, I remember it good. Yeah,
Yeah. You had the most violent piece of storytelling out of all the Haredi films, you know what I mean? Like the guy that like scams another guy for his money and his wealth, and then he kills him and steals away the like that's pretty dark. Um,
yeah.
how was that?
No,
How is that to
I love these characters, really. I love all the time. I just give me to do the bad guy, just and for them it was great because, they were always looking for someone to do the bad guy because most of them were with beards and they
Yeah,
look
yeah,
like really
exactly.
Jewish. So finally they have someone that, and I also, I'm already, shooting the film. So it's like was the easiest.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, I like it. I like
But
this.
also like they made you look like the villain, they made all your hair spiky and like kind of like eyelid makeup or something to make your eyes just more like sinister and they give you like a
Yeah.
cape, like they actually made you like the classic villain of that film.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think like the metaphor for Miguel was like kind of angel of death, something like that. In some,
Oh yeah, I totally see that. Yeah.
yeah. I think he wanted that to be like a small metaphor about it. If I don't know, it's more than 20 years, but yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, but it makes
yeah,
sense. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Um
And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. These characters are really fun. It's like. You can be mean and all kinds of stuff that you can do in your life, in everyday life, you suddenly can do in movies because, to that's why I like the comic relief and the bad guys
yeah.
because it's the stuff that you can do in real life, I'm not at least I don't see myself as a bad person. And
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
I don't let myself to do all kinds of stupid stuff in real life, outside with people. So it was a great opportunity, just to have fun in some way and to really dive into these characters and take out all the, energy out of me.
You're right. Yeah. So let's end off with one more film because I do want to end off with a tribute. So you did a film or you had a cameo, but I think you also like filmed it and helped out with Nissim Verta, Cry of the Dead, because I feel like the more I research and I go into the Israeli side of the films, I see how much Nissim Verta, who for those who don't know, who they're listening to the podcast, he was the main actor of that film, but also he directed and wrote that film. I think he wrote it.
I, I
Um,
was there. I was the director.
Oh, you directed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
I directed most of his film. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Oh, so you also did
yeah,
Olam Ato and all that.
yeah, yeah. Also directed Olam Tov. Yeah,
Whoa, that's creepy. That's really creepy
yeah.
films. Um, but I do want to pay tribute to
But
him because the
He wrote that like completely. It's his creation. Yeah.
yeah. And I wanted to bring him up because the more I talk to people, when I'm doing this podcast or when I get to know people that worked with Clean Tech or Nostalgia Shot, whatever, all the Haredi films, they really speak very highly about Nissim Verta. So I just want to know like what you could tell me about him because unfortunately he passed away like very young and everything, and I just wanted to hear from your side like what you could tell me about him.
Yeah, actually, when I saw it, like we weren't in touch for some time. Like we were like when we were doing these movies together, those movies and also movies, the comic one with Shaul Chayun and Nissim Verta.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so we became like really good friends, if to be honest. Like especially, I was also in touch with also with Shaul, but me and Nissim were really close because I don't know, we both have something dark inside of us, and we like this creepy. I continued later doing the Golem. It comes from the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
source. This darkness, that it's inside a little bit, and you're using films to take it out. So we really were connected in this place, and I really appreciate and love Nissim. I think he was super talented, really. He was amazing. Like just his first movies, he just did it, and it just happened like that. And Olam Ato was really dark and really really scary.
Also
And
very different. Like there's no other film in the Haredi world like that.
yeah,
Olamato.
yeah, yeah. And also we did another one together about this blind person, that find the site. If you remember with Ariel.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I've seen the cover or the trailer maybe. I didn't watch it, but I really do want to watch it. Yeah.
It's also really a good one, if to be honest. It's less. It's not horror film. It's more like a bit supernatural.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's also a really good one. And Nissim was super talented as a writer. And later on, I think he did even another one, and he already started to direct by himself because he tried to save money, and also maybe he wanted to do his own creation his way. But we were like doing it kind of together. Like, of course, I was directing it, but he was there as an actor most of the time, and he wrote the script, so he knew what he wanted. So we all the time were like in dialogue about what's supposed to be there in shooting, like how it's supposed to look,
Yeah.
what we want the audience to feel like. So we were like really in dialogue, of, especially in Zeakat Niftar, but also in Olam Ato and Ivaron. It was I really loved to work with him because I think it was like, except Shachar, that we were doing later on movies together. I think he was the closest that I have for a partner in
Yeah.
creation. He was the closest one for me. So for me later on to find out that he died, from cancer and all, it was I was in shock, and it was
I didn't
really,
know how he passed away. Wow, that's terrible.
yeah, it was cancer. And actually, at some point he left also cinema, and he started to work in some I think it was like in some mobile phone company. And I was like saying to him, no man, you are so talented. Why you left? Continue doing other, find a way. I don't know. But he said, that's it. I'm tired of that. You can't really earn money, and I'm divorced, and I need money for family, and I'm tired of that. Like I did my
Yeah.
part, I did my stuff, and that's it. I need to make money. I need to take care of my family. And I was really sad about it because he had such a big promise, such a big talent, and unfortunately, he left because of money, and not just him, a lot of people, stopped
Yeah.
because of all the yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you are aware of the Chavlash films by Yakov Akopov or whatever, but like same thing. Like his scripts were so balanced, even when he got into the comedy side of his films, and like yeah, and there were also like great productions that well like filmed, and it's just a shame that he stopped at a certain point because of financials. Like it's such a
Yeah,
we
the
we, we
moment the
lost so
film
much.
the moment the film starts to be get copied from one another, and also at some point even on the web, then it was like a death sentence to the. That's why women movies now are really successful and strive, because at the end of the day they're only screening in theaters, and there's
Yeah,
no physical DVD or something that you can see and copy from, obviously, and put it on the web.
yeah.
So and that's it. Unfortunately, there's no screening like that for men, at least not in Israel. But yeah, it's also took me out also from the Haredic cinema into partly to the outside world, but also I was also part. Well, this is for another podcast. I was
Okay.
also great part of the Jewish women's cinema, uh, behind stages, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but but
So
that's
yeah,
it.
but
But it's the same. And Nissim, I really, he was amazing. He was a big talent, and it's a
But
great
also,
loss
it
because
also in the acting roles that he did, you could tell he was very physical, especially when he was on stage, where he did a lot of plays with Ofer Levy on stage in front of
yeah,
the audiences. Like he was very physical with his acting, like the postures and his hand like just little things, like even like in The Cry of the Dead, where like the little like way he would walk, or like the way he would like look at things, or like have his hand motions, like you could tell he was very in tune with what his roles in the films.
definitely, and more than that, he knew camera, and also he knew how to look at the right point, and he knew also, although as you say, he was really physical, but he knew also to make the small nuance. I think he was a great actor, really a great actor.
Yeah.
And a lot of people also use them also outside of the Haredic cinema to all kinds of small role, and he did them great. But unfortunately, like money, and then the disease, took him away
Yeah.
from us. And for me, it was a great loss. I was actually crying when I saw that, he passed away.
Yeah,
Um,
I could also tell how you talk about him, you know what I mean? Like it was very deep, I could tell.
yeah, because he was my friend, and also he was like kind of like my first partner in creating, in the Haredic cinema, when I was doing for Grovais, I was like kind of his helper, and
Yeah.
when I was doing to Igal, also I all the time help and advise in creation, not just shooting the film or not just acting. I all the time, help, but they were like the boss, and I was like helping, and
Right.
with the Nissim, we were like partners, like
Yeah.
of course he was the guy that produced that, and he put the money with Green Tech and everything, but the creation itself, the art was with complete dialogue, because we were at the same level at the same time. I came with my professional side, he came with his talent and his professional side, and together we create all these movies, three of them actually, and that's it. So it's for me, it's kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
great loss.
Um yeah, it was I also like, because I was younger at that time, and also like I'm in America, I'm only learning all this information now. And there's like a point in me where it's like learning, it's more than nostalgia. It's like you're actually taking in like finding all these things and like taking all these things in an aspect of art is very
Yeah.
important to me, but also like I love every second of like when I do research and really like dive into these films. Um,
Yeah, I can feel
yeah,
it.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much, Ariel. And as I always like to end off the podcast, I just want to thank you for being part of my childhood, of me growing up with your
Yeah.
films, both on the films that you have created, but also films that you worked on. Um, I could say for myself, like the films that you made, like Biker Boys was the earliest film I remember ever watching out of all the films. And it's really a lot of inspiration for me about not just entertainment, but also quality of entertainment that we could have in the Jewish entertainment world. And I really appreciate for you being part of that.
Uh, Thank you, first of all. And I'm happy that I took part of that. And so you will know, and also the audience will know, like for me, it was like, this is piece of my life,
Yeah.
it's not a job. It's not like something that I come and I punched in the card for a day. The Haredic cinema is my home. It's like
Yeah.
I'm part of that. I'm part of the pioneers, of course, with Yehuda and Igal and Nissim and everybody. But although I'm not Haredic person, yeah, I'm there. It's part of me, and I'm happy that I was part of the beginning of the cinema and also the developing of this cinema. I'm really lucky to be part of that because it was amazing adventure, and now I'm also using that in in the other stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Ariel. It was a pleasure meeting you and talking with you. I hope we meet in person one day, but thank you
Yeah,
so much
thanks.
and
Me too.
I loved every second of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Good luck and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.